We often tell ourselves that we need just a little more willpower. With just a little more willpower, we all feel that we can change ourselves. With just a little more willpower, we can lose weight, we can get rid of our bad habits, we can make ourselves better, more productive, just a little more willpower. But unfortunately, life often teaches us that willpower only gets us so far. Willpower is not enough. Welcome to one of our vlogs from St. Mark's Episcopal in Dalton, Georgia, and welcome those who join us on Facebook and YouTube. We are sinners. We are sinful in nature. And because we are slaves to sin, I like that term, slaves to sin, our lives are insufficient. We need to change. We need to transform. But our willpower and our reliance on ourselves and our self-centeredness prevents us from being better than we are. Prevents us from being the best that we can be. We all hate the word surrender. We immediately think of all the things we must give up if we were to surrender. We really must give up what makes us us. We must give up our desires, our prejudices, our fears, our attachments, our hang-ups, our certainties. And sometimes we have to give up some of our friends and really to give up ourselves. We are afraid of becoming different. Surrendering is deeply personal, and every individual is different. But there are a few steps in surrendering that all of us can benefit from, and usually applies to everybody. The first one I think of is we have to recognize we need to change. We need to make ourselves different. Next is we need to talk with God and talk and communicate with God, talking with God to open our hearts and minds. The next thing we need to do is learn. We need to start learning to get a deeper understanding of God and continually experience the infinite vastness of God's grace. There's much to learn there, so it's an intellectual exercise as well. Very importantly, we must follow Christ's examples of loving others, of seeing the image of God in everyone that we meet, and forgiving, and being merciful and serving others. And we also, in surrendering, we need to participate in the sacraments and in worship with others, in communal worship. The next thing we need to do is repeatedly examine our thoughts, our actions, and our words to determine how we are resisting Christ. And finally, we must trust, letting go of our desires, our plans, our attachments, our fears, our prejudices, and trusting in God's plans. Surrendering and trusting in God, growing in faith and growing in understanding is a continual and lifelong process that requires ongoing effort and openness to God's grace. We can't change ourselves, but fortunately, we worship a God who can change us. And for that we say, thanks be to God. Alleluia.